wanted to start with a quote I found, and then I kind of want to lead in with some of the things that we were talking about at the during the last podcast, and I want to kind of step off onto that. But the quote I have says, "In a time of deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act."
Yes.
By George Orwell, 1984.
Yes. Yeah. And
And
think
so,
about what the
go
time
ahead.
that we're living in. Are we living in that
Exactly.
kind of time?
A time of deceit,
Yes.
smoke and
Where
mirrors,
yes.
double talk.
Where people the fake news is the truth. Suppose the truth is called fake news, and the truth is called the truth because it's woke, that and that, like that. But getting back to what we were talking about, young people getting into the educational process, is that one of the things that I think that helped us out was that we understood what alternative education was about. Okay, let me give you an example. When I grew up in high school, I was a knucklehead. Okay, I was a guy that got sent to the office. I did stuff, I was a class clown and that kind of thing. Okay, but my counselor would always tell me, you're wasting your skills. Okay, my senior year, because in the Bay Area, you started high school in the 10th grade. So you went 10, 11, and 12. So when I became a 12th grader, I really buckled down. I mean, for the first time in my high school career, I went to class and I became a good citizen. Okay, and I said to myself, I wish I would have done it before. And my football coach, he came to me and said, "It's a shame. I got a scholarship offer from UCLA and SC for you, but I can't process it because I wasn't taking college prep." You got what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I was taking general education. But what I learned from that experience when I started working with youth, juveniles, and alternative ed students, I remembered the patience that people had with me being a knucklehead. They didn't give up on me, okay? And they gave me the affirmative words that you can be successful. All you have to do is apply yourself, and you're smart. And all you have to do is do what we ask you to do. Okay, and so when I started working with high risk juveniles back in the day, especially when I was in the institution, I wanted to run when I ran my classroom at Joplin. I ran it in such a way that everybody had a chance to be successful. They had to earn their credits. I didn't give them credits, but they knew when they entered the classroom. I taught. I think I taught health and science, and what else did I teach? Health science and driver's ed. But they knew where the books were, and they knew what assignments they had to do. And one of the things that's very important is that is when they completed an assignment, I corrected it immediately. You got what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah.
To
Right.
give them immediate feedback, and if they didn't do too well, gave them an opportunity to do it over, and then average the grades out. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but you have to be able to capture the student in your environment so that you can help him buy into the program. Because
Right.
if a student doesn't buy into the program, you're always going to have that guy over in the corner starting stuff, getting everybody disrupted because he's not doing something. You got what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
So, but
Mm-hmm.
no, you have to understand. You have to know what you're dealing with, and you cannot try to mold those young men and women into the regular high school mold. Okay? Because there's a reason why they can't function in that environment. But they function in an environment where there's less pressure to perform, but they can perform in a timely fashion at their own time. You got what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. And I think not enough educational programs spend time, especially with people that are credentialing, spend time in the alternative area. Okay, they don't spend enough time to go around and see really what happens. Okay, but
Right. Right.
but you have to, in order to deal with the kind of students we dealt with, you have to be dedicated. Just think about us getting up at 6 o'clock in the morning, being at work at 6 o'clock in the morning. You're leaving from where you lived out there in the Riverside area, and you got to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to get there at 6.
Yeah.
Okay, and we both were there, and the one thing that I believe in is that when you tell a student that you're going to do something for them, you damn sure better do it. Okay, because if you don't, you lose credibility for sure. And that
Right.
was one of the things that kept us afloat. Is that we said whatever we said we were going to do, we did.
Right.
No matter what the situation was, we did. Okay, if we said we're going to come to your house at 7 o'clock, you were gone, but that's what I did. The night visits. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I did the night visits, and I said I'm gonna be at your house at 7 o'clock or 6:30. Talk to your parents because you're
Hmm.
not coming to school. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Right.
Okay, but even at the alternative school level, you have to get the parents involved. And it's not see the thing that happened is everybody was looking at the educational model of regular ed.
Hmm.
The parents come in and they PTA da 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 da. Well, these parents were some of them single family, some of them with the dad and mom working, and the eldest child was making sure everybody was doing what they were supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Okay, and also the unique part about what our program was about, and it's just the way it happened. I'd say 90% of our students were Hispanic,
Right.
and that's what we had, and that's what we were dealing with.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
and you had to learn. You had to learn culture. You had to learn how do you approach it. Because some families, according to whether they were legal or illegal. They don't want if they weren't legal, they don't want to have nothing to do with the authorities. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay, if they were legal, then that's a different thing. So you
Hmm.
had to be able to be very careful about who you were approaching. Okay, because a lot of times we had to have them come. Had to have them come to the school. And tell them it was important that they came so we could talk to them and let them know what was going on with the kids. And I think
Hmm.
the other thing that we did, you remember we used to have parent conferences,
Right.
and that was very important for. I think we used to get what I'd say 90% of the students parents came,
Right.
and that was helpful for us. Okay.
Hmm. So I was thinking about, our prior podcast and about, I ask you why so many times the programs that seem to be successful were eventually shut down and closed. And I thought to myself that a lot of times there's a sort of saying about speaking truth to power,
Okay.
and I think that the so-called powers to be didn't really understand some of the things we were doing. So I guess the question I have is about when you search for truth, do you have to be patient? Do you have to be quiet and listen and look and hear in order to really see the truth?
Well, let me ask you a question, Larry. Did every time they closed me down, did it stop me from doing what I was doing?
No, you were able to take what you had gained and restarted it. But I just again wonder why so often um, again these individuals who made decisions like that, administrative decisions, couldn't see the value, and instead of supporting it, they sort of undermined it and wanted to tear it down.
Well, let me
And
ask you a question, Larry. When you're at home and have you ever baked cookies?
yeah,
Okay, and when you're baking them cookies, you're taking ownership of those cookies. Am I right or wrong?
right,
Okay, if they come out good, everybody's happy. If they come out bad, everybody's frowning. Is that correct?
correct,
So think about that. I was doing things. We were because you was with me. We were doing things that nobody else had control over. See, it
right,
wasn't nobody saying this is what you need to do, or that's what you need to do, or you need to do this, or you need to do that. We were doing these things, okay? Plus, we were responsible educators, and that's what they couldn't get. They always were trying to find out.
mhm,
Well, geez, he's slipping. He's doing something on the side. He's doing something over here. He's doing something down there. Okay, you remember when I used to tell you that I could never ever get when we had the graduates, I could never ever get their diplomas on the graduation day like everybody else. You got what I'm talking about?
right,
Okay? And the reason being is that the people, the secretaries, or the lady downtown really didn't think that we were doing business the right way. And so he said, oh no, you can't project their attendance. You got what I'm saying?
right,
Okay, I'm saying I can't project their attendance. Well, they've been attending all of this time for me to be able to offer them up for graduation.
right,
Okay, you see, they played a little bitty games, and so I said I would tell the students. I said, when you graduate, when you walk across the stage, you're gonna get a folded piece of paper, and then next week you're gonna have to go down to the district and get your diploma. Whereas everybody else's program, we went to all their graduations, and what did they get when they walked across the stage? They got their diplomas.
hmm,
You got what I'm saying?
right,
Okay, but it was you got to understand something, Larry. And this is one of the things we talked about: 3/5 a human being kind of thing. You remember when I said that?
right,
Okay, so I never got the respect of as an educator, even with my peers, even working with my peers. Everybody thought that if they would say, well, at a site like Harbor Learning Center, at a site there, I'm making enough money to keep all the teachers in the jobs, but I'm not a good teacher. You got what I'm saying?
right,
I'm not a good teacher, but I have 80 to 100 students on my roster where they only have 20 and they only can get 10 kids to come to class.
hmm,
But I'm not a good teacher. And I'm in at graduation, whatever the graduation was, we always would have half to 3/3 of the kids graduating came from our program. Am I right or wrong?
right,
Okay, and they all passed muster. Okay, we didn't cheat nowhere. Okay, we did report cards every quarter. You follow what I'm saying?
hmm,
And I I kept all their report cards and everything, so there wouldn't be no problem with them graduating. Okay, they all graduated. Like from 2015, from 2000 to 2015, 775 students graduated with a high school diploma.
Mm-hmm.
With taking the Casey. Okay, and I didn't pencil anything in. I was at school. With my counseling abilities, I kept track of the classes that they'd taken. Okay, made sure that any classes that they had F's in before, we redid those classes. Okay, so that they would not have like English A, English B, 9A, 9B, 10A, 10B, 11A, 11B, 12A, 12B. And if the kids were in college prep, okay, we gave them college prep classes. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So we did the service, but we were not supposed to do the service. You got what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay, they couldn't understand why.
Well, that's what I guess my point is that did they not take the time to look at it and see what was going on? Instead, they just made a decision that it was wasn't above board, and so we're just gonna shut it down. There must be a problem with it. It can't be
Well,
successful.
when I was told you, if it was you running the program, if your name was Alton Steele, it would have been no problem.
Right. I remember you saying that.
Okay, it wouldn't be no problem.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay, and even at when I was at the Harbor Learning Center, that's when they took Carla they took Carla away from us.
Right. I remember.
And I didn't say nothing because I had already told her that they were going to eventually do that, and I still ran the program. Okay,
Yeah.
because everybody thought that I was shaking and faking. I wasn't doing the deal.
So when they're faced with that truth, how do they deny it? How do they
Well,
reconcile?
you remember when Tony came? I told you Tony came through, and I had 90 some students on the roster. And Tony said to me, "Oh, you're cheating." Okay, I'm cheating, and I'm running a morning and afternoon program, and not getting no overtime for it. But I'm dealing with kids. I'm resurrecting students who needed high school diplomas. You got what I'm saying? And
Right.
so what I did was I said, "Okay, Tony, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna drop all these kids and I'm gonna send them over to the outreach program." Okay. Now think about this. I dropped 70 kids, sent them to the outreach program, and guess what he did? 48 hours, he had dropped all the kids and dropped them, and they weren't in school nowhere.
Right.
How much is 70, 88?
But
Okay.
then when that happened from administrative, they just rewrite the truth into their being,
They
to
don't
their
care.
way.
What they were saying to me is, "We coming after you. You're coming after me." That's when I said, it's time for me to retire.
Yeah.
Okay, it's time for me to retire because what you're not concerned about what I'm doing, but what I'm doing makes you concerned because it makes you look bad. You got no see. They couldn't. The problem is they couldn't control what I did.
So there again makes me think, okay, do people have a problem sharing the truth? In other words, taking part in it, finding that truth and then sharing it with someone else, as opposed to trying to say, well, no, that's not the truth. I have the truth. Why can't they share it? Why can't they believe that there's a shared common truth here?
Okay, Larry, I'm gonna hit you with one. I want you to pay attention. Okay, you have an administrative credential. Am I right or wrong?
Correct.
A master's in educational administration, right?
Right.
I have a master's in educational administration. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you and I'm gonna say this, Larry. I cautioned you before you made the decision, and I said, Larry, that's not somewhere where you wanted to go. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Okay, but you said, this is what I want to do, and I said, okay. And when you got there, what did you see, Larry?
Well, I saw the ineptness of the others, and I guess my own inability to elicit any kind of initiate any kind of change for the better.
Hmm.
So I failed. Basically, I failed.
No, you didn't fail. You didn't pay attention. Okay, you never asked me
Mhm.
why didn't I ever become a principal. You never asked me that question, did you?
No.
Because I saw early on what you saw when you became a principal. And I said, the best way for me to survive in this system is to be the one below the top. And I was fortunate that I had good principals who listened to me and gave me the kind of support that I needed to do my job.
Hmm.
Okay? And they were the ones that saw outside the box. You got what I'm saying?
Right.
Okay? All right? And every time I had a principal that wanted to structure me, I went into that program and I did what they wanted me to do. Okay? And then even in that situation, I was always successful. We were always successful.
Hmm.
Kids wanted to be in the classroom, wanted to be in my program.
Right.
Okay, because my students were doing things, not just sitting down. They were volunteering in the community, doing things that give them self-esteem. You got what I'm saying?
Right.
So, but you got to have some resilience and some understanding as a young teacher coming in, because remember we talked about this. Is that the old guard used to do what to the new teachers that came in? They used to tell them, "Oh no, you don't have to do that. This is the way we do it." Okay, and so what happens is that they get off doing things the shortcut way, the wrong way, instead of the long way. You got what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
I remember when people used to sub for me, they used to sub for me, and they would say, "Oh, you're Al Steele." I say, "Yeah," and they would sub for me, and they would say, "Wow, you doing all this is what you do in a day?" I said, "Yes, I do all these things in a day, every day. I don't sit down. I don't sit down and point to kids, and I don't sit there and read a newspaper, and I don't sit there and I engage. Once the classroom starts, I'm engaging students, every student.
Hmm.
I make sure that every day I touch each student in my classroom.
Hmm.
How you doing? What's going on at home? How's your little brother? How's your little sister
Well, that
doing?"
goes back to what we've always said about the relationship that we built with students, and that relationship brings students in, it brings families in, it brings
Right,
everybody bought into and ownership of the school and the program that they were a part of.
right.
And that was you wonder why your enrollments were so high, your attendance was good, is because students felt safe, they wanted to come there, they knew that they were being served and that they were getting what they needed and that they were going to be provided with the credentials and diplomas and passing the Casey and all the things that, so the success built the success.
And one of the things that when the kids were, when they had the enrollment thing, and whenever a parent, because I had serviced many kids, man, from Los Pinos, juvenile hall, all the different places, and when they said, "Oh, is Mr. Steele in this He's in the program here," and they would say, "I want my child to be in that program."
Right. Well, I was always amazed at how many times at the various sites that we worked at that parents would come back, or sometimes they were even students that they had been your student, and now they were parents and they were coming back, and they remembered you, and they knew that they wanted their son or daughter to attend your school because they knew they were going to get what they needed. And again, the success breeds success.
Yeah, and the one of the, and I'm not gonna. I guess I'm not gonna. What I'm gonna say is that people have to be understanding about the alternative ed situation, and they have to understand that these guys are deficient coming in. Okay, they're
Mm-hmm.
deficient coming in, and we have to be able to set up a program for them to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and once they catch on, they spread the word.
Right. The word did get out. And how many times? Well, I got my cousin needs to go to school. Can they come here? And you'd say,
Mm.
sure, bring them in. And they'd come in, and we'd get them enrolled. And like I said, it built on the success built on its success, and it brought more students in, and that's why the enrollments grew so fast and so
Yeah, yeah,
large and remain large because people continued to come because they knew it was a good place to come for them to get what they needed to get at that particular time in their life.
yeah. And we just didn't sit down and say, sit down and be quiet. Okay, we interacted with the students.
Right. We
Okay,
personalized it. They did things for them, allowed them to be
you
almost
remember
in a way a home environment.
you remember we used to fix breakfast in the morning
Right.
and
Right.
fix breakfast in the morning, have a cup of coffee. A lot of people
Right.
say, "Well, why are you doing that?" Well, the one thing that I started thinking about was a lot of these kids didn't eat but one meal a day.
Right.
Okay, so why not start the morning off with some nourishment and a coffee, and we had coffee, juice, okay,
Hmm.
and we didn't regulate; they regulated it, okay,
Right.
okay, and they came in, and we had a cutoff time. Remember,
Right.
okay, if you got there 40 minutes late from class, you didn't get no juice or no or burrito or whatever it is that we had up there, or donut or whatever.
Hmm.
Okay, and then you didn't get no coffee or
Hmm.
juice.
Hmm.
Okay, but everything that we tried to do was try to be student friendly as much as possible.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Well, are we wrapping up for today? And was it?
Yeah, okay, I think so. Well, what do you got set up for the next one?
I've got to look into it, but I think
Okay.
that continuing to talk about the environment that we built for the schools, the
Hmm.
school programs, and making it a place of comfort. And again, I want to translate it to the administration side of why they can see that, and then they would do their job to provide support
Well,
for you.
let me answer that question for you real quick, Larry. Think about all the people that went into administration from the classroom. How many did you know that spent any time in the classroom?
Now, there weren't a lot. It didn't seem like.
And as soon as they
Certainly
got
not in a day school kind of setting, a classroom setting. Maybe they were contract learning, independent study teachers. I don't know, but
but as soon as they got their administrative credential, what was it? What was the first thing they did? They
they
wanted to
got out of.
be. They got out of the classroom and they wanted to tell everybody else how to do it,
Right.
and they never did
So
it.
there's the power part. That's what I was saying about
Yeah,
the power and the truth to
yeah.
power. And again, I really feel like when we worked with our students, yeah, we were the authority, we were the teachers, but we didn't really flaunt that power. We tried to empower the students so they could take ownership and control of their own journey through the process, and we could help them along the way. And we
One,
didn't do it say because we said so. Do it
yeah,
because it's the right thing for you as a student so you can reach those goals or whatever it is that you're trying to achieve while you're here with us.
yeah. I think the main focus that I wanted to always do, and what we always did, was the enhancement of self esteem.
Right. Right.
Okay, okay. And so when students had positive self esteem, they would buy into what we were doing.
Right. Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so what do we want to talk about on podcast 4? Or is this or podcast 5? What do you want to do in podcast 5?
Well, I want to continue our conversation, and again, I want to always go back to search for the truth
Okay.
and help find that. And
Mhm.
so I kind of felt like truth is like a flowing river. Sometimes you can find it in the stillness of the depths along its shores, and other times you find it in the noise of the torrential currents. And so it's just a matter of being open to it
Mhm.
and listening and paying, as you always say, pay attention. And I think that's where people fall off because they shut themselves off from the truth, and they only want to hold on to what their truth is, and they can't really move past that.
Yes, I agree with you there. But but truth. And the thing that's important that we're trying to we're understanding between you and I is everybody has to be able to find their own truth,
Right.
and and that's important. And because if you have your own truth, and then you can be an independent thinker.
Right.
You follow what I'm saying? And
Right.
then nobody can influence you. It's just like when I said back in the on the other podcast, I said I've known you all these years, and I don't know what religion you are, and I don't know what your political leaning is. All I know is that you're a good human being,
Truth matters.
and that truth matters. Okay.
Those of you that are out there listening, subscribe to our page so that you can get the notifications of when we're going to record again.